What's going on, guys? This is Rob. There are no spoilers in this review for Doctor Strange 2, but I just got finished seeing it, and I absolutely loved this movie. Oh, it was so great. It felt different. You really felt the Sam Raimi kind of horror meets comic book movie type thing. I will say this, while Sam Raimi was great in Doctor Strange 2, I would kill to see a Sam Raimi Midnight Suns movie. Oh my God, after he did this, just the way the movie felt, right? I would love to see a Midnight Suns movie with Moon Knight and Blade. I don't know how they would do Morbius, but Werewolf by Night, Jack Russell, right? It'd be cool to see that kind of thing. I would love to see that. Having said that, the movie's great. Oh my God, it's so good. But here's one of the things to keep in mind. You have to go into it, and I feel like people have been saying this, you have to go into it with your expectations tempered. If you're going into it with just they're gonna throw the baby out with the bathwater, and everything's gonna happen, then I would just kind of say, okay, you need to calm down a little bit. But having said that, it's great. The development of Stephen Strange, honestly, this is one of the cool things here. The development of Stephen Strange in relation to the environment around him, which is to say the world of magic and mysticism and all that kind of stuff, it's still growing, right? It's still going. And I love that. Even now in this movie, he's still learning new things. So it's kind of cool, right? Because even though he was gone for 5 years because of the blip, and when he came back, Wong had become the new Sorcerer Supreme, it's cool because Wong knows stuff that Stephen Strange doesn't know. And it's almost kind of interesting to see them kind of reset Stephen Strange back to being the guy who's still learning, because he is. He's still learning about things, as opposed to the Doctor Strange that we're traditionally used to, at least in Marvel Comics anyway, who basically knows everything about magic, right? So I think they're kind of getting to that point where he's the Doctor Strange we know, similar to how they handled Tom Holland in relation to Spider-Man, right? He was basically learning to become Spider-Man and then eventually became that character. I feel like that's kind of the new MO for the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I think they're really building Doctor Strange in that direction. Not entirely sure, but it does feel that way. Beyond that, the supporting cast is really, really cool. The character of Wong was great in this movie, and to be honest with you, I'm more interested in seeing a Wong film, at least now, than I've ever been before. Wong was great in this movie. I absolutely loved it. Whether they do a TV show or something like that, as far as I understand it, the rumors are that Wong has been asked, the guy who plays Wong has been asked multiple times, are you gonna do a Disney Plus show? And his response has kind of been, it's possible. You got to keep your eyes open. Who knows what might happen, right? Which means yes. So it's okay, cool. That's going to be awesome to see. I love the character of Wong coming out of this. Oh my God, I love the character of Wong coming out of this. Again, kind of sticking to the magical side. Well, we'll talk more about the interpersonal side here in a little bit, but sticking to the magical side, I love the character of Wong, love the development, love the expansion of the whole Sorcerer Supreme concept and all the different forms of magic and things that are going on out there, right? Those are the guys who saw Harry Potter. Remember when they had the Triwizard Tournament and you ended up learning about Bo Batten and Durmstrang, right? A couple of the other schools that exist out there in the world. That's kind of how it is with this and the various other Sorcerer Supremes and different things along those lines. It was great. Absolutely loved it. Moving into Wanda, I gotta be honest with you guys. This was the most interesting Wanda's been in a while, right? It segues perfectly from WandaVision. Oh, absolutely. It's perfect in terms of how it segues from WandaVision going into this. And you almost just didn't even have to it's almost like you watch WandaVision and then literally when this comes out with Disney Digital, you watch WandaVision and then just click over to this and it makes perfect sense, right? There's nothing that you need to know about in between. There's no significant scenes from Age of Ultron that matter, right? None of that stuff. It's literally WandaVision, Doctor Strange 2, and I loved that. I loved how clean that transition was. Having said that, oh my God, the interpersonal struggle of Wanda was phenomenal. It's why I say she was handled so spectacularly in this movie. Loved the character of Wanda, right? Elizabeth Olsen as Wanda, it's one of those things. I feel like the longer these characters are played in these movies, the more they get the kind of Hugh Jackman effect. You know what I mean? For a lot of us who are watching the old X-Men movies, right? X-Men 1 and 2 and 3 and so on and so forth, even though X-Men 3 suck. Those of us who saw those movies, you look at Hugh Jackman and you're that's Wolverine. That will always be Wolverine. Nobody will ever be Wolverine except for Hugh Jackman. And if they do cast another Wolverine, then he'll be kind of like the second best Wolverine. Until we as fans get to a point where we like him more than Hugh Jackman, then he's the best Wolverine. But it really feels like that in a lot of ways, right? Elizabeth Olsen just feels synonymous with the Scarlet Witch, that she just made the character her own. And I loved how she was depicted in this story. It was great. Moving on, I want to talk about America Chavez for a second, because I feel like America Chavez has been a very divisive character in Doctor Strange 2. Don't know why. I always thought the idea of America Chavez was cool. How she's been written over the years has been a little questionable, but the concept behind her is great. She is able to travel the multiverse. A lot of you guys, picked that up from the Doctor Strange trailers and whatnot, right? So that's a cool thing about her. I do love the way her character progresses, but it leaves me wanting more. And for those of you guys who are familiar with America Chavez in Marvel Comics, there is a significant role that she's had in Marvel Comics that it looks like they're building up to. Whether that's true or not, I'm not entirely sure. If you don't know anything about Marvel Comics, that statement is completely lost on you. And even if you do know about Marvel Comics, she's had a lot of significant roles, so maybe that statement's still lost on you. But to me, there was one particular thing I was looking at, and I was like, they've got to be building up to that. And if they're not, I'm going to be sorely disappointed. But no, America Chavez, she was really interesting. It was intriguing to learn about her. I will say, over the course of the movie, she's there, but she doesn't feel overly important. Aside from the idea that they kind of need her to achieve some certain things, she doesn't really feel that significant. It's not one of those things where it's like, she is definitely going to be like a mainstay in the Doctor Strange mythos, and I'm glad to see her there. You're just kind of like, they wouldn't have succeeded in some ways had it not been for her, but whatever, that's kind of the takeaway that you get to a degree. But again, it's cool. I'm staying away from the super heavy spoiler stuff, right? Staying away from the super spoilery things. But overall, the movie was really, really enjoyable. The pacing was great. The tone was great. There were some great scenes. There's one fight scene that I absolutely loved because it was so unique. And again, no spoilers here, but I loved it because it was so unique. It involved music, right? And I thought it was just one of the coolest fight scenes that they've ever had in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And honestly, it's one of the reasons why I love guys like Sam Raimi, because honestly, the guy made his bones with the Evil Dead, right? So Sam Raimi's kind of the guy who just sort of does cool stuff. And, whatever happens. But he's kind of like, I'm Sam Raimi. Look, my reputation speaks for itself. I did the old Spider-Man movies. I can do what I want, right? It's just one of those things. He definitely brings that unique take to the film. Now, I imagine one of the things that a lot of people are asking is, how does the film, as it appears to be in the trailers, equate to how the movie actually is in terms of its full, 2 hour, 6 minute length, or however long it is? The trailers are deceptive. The trailers are very deceptive. I know Kevin Feige came out recently and said he didn't like the amount of footage that had been dumped during trailers, but to be honest with you guys, even after seeing all the trailers and everything, I didn't go into the movie feeling disappointed. I didn't go, or not really go into the movie, I didn't leave the movie feeling disappointed, like I kind of already knew what was gonna happen. I didn't really feel that way. I think not seeing that footage would have added to the surprise of a lot of different scenes, but nonetheless, I didn't feel, oh, okay, so I knew that was coming, right? There are some scenes in the trailers that do not exist in the movie. That I will tell you, which I think is pretty normal when it comes to Hollywood cutting trailers for films. But yeah, it's the movie itself is just phenomenal. It's great. There is some mythos building on the Darkhold. It's one of these things, the way that Sam Raimi does this, Marvel's holding some aces up their sleeves. So there are some things they hint and they tease at in relation to the Darkhold, but they don't outright come out and say anything. Right? So it's just kind of like, this Darkhold is important in some ways. And I will say this, it's not what you think, right? It looks like they're kind of building their own thing here, right? They're doing their own thing, which I absolutely love. But it's cool, right? The way the movie progresses, right? It's fun. It's got the horror element to it, right? There's some parts that are kind of scary where it's like, okay, this, I'm digging this, man. I'm definitely jiving with this. But it is great, right? It's just a fun film. I absolutely loved it. When I go see it a second time, probably not, but it's very rare that I ever do that in the first place. Usually I go see a movie once and that's usually it. The only exception to that was the first Deadpool movie, which I saw 3 times, and the second time was Avengers Endgame, which I saw twice. But beyond that, I only ever really see it, I just kind of watch it once, and then that's basically, I think it was Avengers Endgame that I watched twice. Anyway, I only ever watched them one time, and that's basically it. There are 2 post-credit scenes. Make sure you keep out for those. Make sure you guys watch those, right? I'm sorry, there's a mid-credit scene and then a final post-credit scene. Make sure you keep an eye out for those. And I will say, there's a great moment at the end of the movie. It's like when the movie ends, it's a great Sam Raimi moment. It's awesome. If any of you guys ever saw the movie Drag Me to Hell, think about how like that movie ended, and it's that kind of feel, that kind of ending, right? Where it's just, wow, like a total twist. Like, what? You know, it's that kind of thing. Absolutely loved it. But the movie's great. Absolutely, it's a blast. I think it's one of the best Marvel Cinematic Universe movies they've made to date. I think Captain America and the Winter Soldier is still my number one. Yes, even over Avengers Endgame and Infinity War. Yes, but it's still a phenomenal movie. Absolutely love it. Having said that, for those of you guys who are looking for kind of an explanation of what you need to know, one, we already made a video on that, but two, all you really need to do is watch Loki, but you do also understand, and it's one of those things that's kind of cool, I understand what Feige and them were talking about now, that the multiverse being back is because of the events of Loki, but it's not a required viewing, right? So that's a cool thing, right? The way the whole multiversal situation unfolds doesn't require you to know about Loki, but it does help. It actually helps a lot. So all you really need to do is watch Loki, watch WandaVision, and then you're done. That's really all you need. And I assume you watch Avengers Endgame, right? So that's all you really need to know. But yeah, movie's phenomenal. Absolutely loved it. We will have videos on Easter eggs, and maybe we'll do an actual spoiler review. You guys don't really seem to dig spoiler reviews as much as you dig non-spoiler reviews. So maybe we'll do that on like Saturday or something like that. But no, the movie's great. Absolutely a blast. You're gonna love it. It's awesome. So with that being said, guys, we're gonna bring this to an end. Thank you all for watching, and I will catch you all later. Peace.